So, friends, welcome back to Hobby Vomit. It's me, Matt, and I'm really excited today to be doing a rapid reading roundup. So, this is a new type of video. When we started the channel, I was doing a lot of singular book reviews. Kind of found I don't really enjoy that as much as I thought I would. And so now I'm just going to move to basically a quarterly. We'll see. I might adjust it to monthly, but for right now, we're just going to do quarterly. At the end of every quarter, I will do one of these rapid reading roundups, in which I go over every book that I read during that quarter and put it through our B.A.R.F system here on Hobby Vomit Hobby system. So what is our B.A.R.F system? Basically, we score every book out of 4 categories. It's out of 5 points per these 4 categories, and then it gets a final score, the average of those. So B.A.R.F stands for B, believable. How believable are the characters and their setting? Really just character work. A is authorial voice, so that includes like prose, appeal, just like their authorial voice and how well they accomplished what they set out to do. R is rhythm, which is kind of like the pacing and the plotting of the book. And then F is feeling, so did it make me feel anything while I was reading it? And so, yeah, we'll score each of those out of 5. And then I'll give you the final. I'll probably start with the final score and then give you the breakdown of each category, say a little something about each book, and then move on. So I've got, I think, 14 or 15 books here, and so the goal is to not take more than a couple minutes on each. In that way, this is all spoiler-free. It's all spoiler-free. And so, yeah, it's just kind of give you an idea of what I thought, and maybe, like, if you don't care as much about characters, then you can see which books, maybe the rest of the book is great, but the character work was a little flawed, but for you, that might not matter. So, yeah, this is all in chronological order, so I'm starting with the first book I read in April. And I'm also a bit of a weird reader to where I take a while to read books, but I start 3 or 4 books at a time. And so even though I finished a couple of these in April, so basically I'm going to put any book on here that I finished between April 1st and June 30th. So here we go. We're starting off with Carrie by Stephen King. I gave this a 4 out of 5 overall. Really liked Carrie. This is Stephen King's first book, or first published book, I guess. So let's go through the categories. B, believable. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Really, it's Stephen King's character work. What more is there to say? A, authorial voice. 4. I mean, I think this sets the tone for what Stephen King is going to do for the rest of his career, really. It feels so Stephen King already, even though it's his first published work. R is rhythm. Great plot. Great pace. And F is feeling. It made me feel much more than I thought I was going to. Honestly, I kind of went into this book thinking it was going to be fine as like his first published work, but honestly, I ended up really loving it. It's kind of a tragedy. I honestly think this is a good place to start Stephen King. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So, great book, 4 out of 5. Next, we've got Holly by Stephen King. I started out with a lot of Stephen King. The overall for this was a 3.75 out of 5. I think that's on a good day. I could see this bumping down to a 3.5. This is my least favorite Holly Gibney book out of the Mr. Mercedes, The Outsider, If It Bleeds, and this. I just found that Holly, I like her more as a supporting, a co-star, if you will, rather than the main star. This was really her first book as like the main star, and I found it a little bit lacking. But yeah, let's go through. So B for believable, for character work, 4.75. I mean, he writes great. This is one of his later books, and he just continues to master his craft on character voice and character work. A authorial voice. I gave this a 3. I think this kind of missed the mark as far as like King's reputation, other than character work. I think he writes great characters, but I think there's a lot of kind of fluff in this that was unnecessary. Normally I like a lot of his tangents, but they felt just a little miss here. And then same thing, yeah, it just felt like Holly was missing that co-star. R is rhythm, 3.5 out of 5. And then F was feeling, 3.5 out of 5. So overall, really liked it. It's not a bad book by any means, but when I closed the cover, I wasn't like, wow, this is the best Holly book or anything. Like, I'm glad I read it. Move on. This would probably never be a reread for me or anything like that, but I enjoyed it. That's Holly. All right, next, our third Stephen King. I think this is actually the last Stephen King of the month. No, it's not. I'm sorry. But we got Revival by Stephen King. This is another later Stephen King. This is my first 5 out of 5 for the quarter. Loved this book. Didn't know what to think going in. I didn't know anything about it other than like some people said like it's his return to form. And yeah, I haven't read things leading up to this, so I don't know when he lost his form, but man. So, so you'll see actually here. So B, we got a 5 out of 5. A got a 5 out of 5. R got a 4.75 out of 5. And then F, it got a 5. But however you want, we round up to the nearest 0.25. So this ended up getting a 5 out of 5. The rhythm, there was one little section in here I think maybe could have been cut down a little bit. But man, I was not expecting such a great coming of age horror book. I mean, there's scary, there's crying because it's emotional with like nostalgia and family, and it's just an excellent book. I think if you're into like cosmic horror or just want a really good coming of age, Revival is it. So 5 out of 5, first one of the quarter for me. Next is the lowest score of the quarter for me, and that is The Immortal Investigation by Michael Cronk, or the book guy, I think, on YouTube here. Yeah, this was just not for me. I think I've learned I'm not a big urban fantasy fan, but, such is life. I'm glad I tried it. I don't know if I remember I said the score. 2.5 out of 5. B, this got a 2 out of 5. This was really the lacking point. I just never bought into these characters. They never felt real. They really just felt like cartoon characters or like the Office characters or something like that, to where they're always making quips and jokes. And I just never bought into it. So that really hurt it for me. A, I gave it a 3. I think Kronk did a fine job at probably what he set out to accomplish, which was an urban fantasy. I think it was good. Some parts were really cool. The monsters were cool. A lot of my problems stemmed from the character work. R is rhythm, 3, super fast paced, and then F, feeling, 2. I never felt anything. I mean, there were some jokes that landed, but most didn't, unfortunately. And because the character work was so low for me, I never really felt anything about the story. I was just reading it to kind of finish it, and that's usually not a good sign for me. So I have since started DNFing books. I probably would have DNF'd this book just because it is not for me. I think if you like urban fantasy or like Buffy, I think John at Talking Story kind of compared this to like a Buffy the Vampire episode, and it very much is that. If you're into that, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you're into Dresden, I think you'll probably have a good time with this. So that's Immortal Investigations by Michael Cronk. Next, we're back to a 5-star, and that is The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. Whoo, boy, this is 5 across the boards. And man, what a book. This is the book that proved to me that action can actually be good. I normally find my eyes glossing over during these long battle scenes, but this is a big old book about just a single war, a single battle that takes place over 3 days, and I was glued to my seat. I think the special sauce in this book is that there's a lot of named characters, but you get time. You spend a ton of time with characters on both sides of the battle, so that when those clashes do happen, there are high stakes because you know everybody that's taking place. And so you're always connected. It's not like, your heroes are moving in to fight up against this cannon fodder, and you're kind of just like, all right, they kill some, then all right, they kill some more. All right, they kill some more. Oh, one's getting a little close. Oh, they kill it. And then you're through the battle 20 pages later. This is like every time someone comes in to fight, you're like, wait, I know that person, and they're about to fight someone I know. I don't want either of these people to die. What's going to happen? And so you're just glued to the page. Yeah, excellent book. 5 out of 5 for me. You'll kind of find, I'm sure you know if you've watched the channel, I am a big Joe Abercrombie fan. So, take that for what it is. Next, I read Down in the Holler by Bridget Riley. This is Ian's wife, notably. And just want to, I guess, put that out there just so, I guess there might be bias or whatnot. But I gave this a 3.75 out of 5. It's kind of more of like a novella. It's a super paranormal investigator solving a cold case, basically. And, not really my jam as far as genre. Although I find myself reading a lot more crime than I feel like I want to, maybe. Most of that was due to we were reading the Mr. Mercedes trilogy and all the Holly stuff, and all of that's like kind of crime. centered. But yeah, believable 4.25. I think that's Bridget's strength. She writes really great characters. My biggest problem with the book was I didn't get more of the character work. I think this could have been fleshed out into a full-length novel, and we really dive into that deep character work, and it would have really benefited from that, I think. A is Authorial Voice, 3.75. Again, I think this is a great debut. I'm really excited to see more. R is Rhythm, fast pace. You know, you'll tear through this book. And then 3.75 for Feeling. I felt pretty connected with the characters. There's a couple, there's like a budding romance that I didn't really particularly enjoy, but I think if you do like that kind of stuff, you might enjoy that. So that is Down in the Holler. We went on a kind of an indie kick here. So we had the Immortal Investigations, then Down in the Holler. Next, we have Mercy, Tears of the Fallen by Chance Dillon. You may have seen my review on the channel for this or our interview with Chance after the fact. I've since read this again. This is an ARC, an advanced review copy that Chance was nice enough to send over. And yeah, I mean, again, there might be some biases here, but when I signed up for this, I had never spoken to Chance before, so I like to believe that this is my unbiased opinion. But this got a 4.5 out of 5 for me. Really excellent debut. It kind of hit at the right time for me, I think, because I had just gotten done with Gardens of the Moon and was waiting to get into Dead House Gates, but couldn't start Dead House Gates yet, so I was really itching for that Malazan feel. And this is very similar to Malazan in the sense of it just drops you in. It does not hold your hand at all. You're going to be confused for most of it, but it's kind of fun when those seeds that he planted kind of start to blossom towards the end, and you get to it's almost like a tidal wave of like oh and like oh that's cool, and a lot of that. So it was really fun, and I've learned with fantasy I love politics, which is crazy because I hate politics in real life, but I love political intrigue in fantasy books, and there's a ton of that, really diverse POVs, and just had a great time. So this got a 4 out of 5. There were some characters in here that I think maybe their character work was a little bit lacking. I don't know if that's due to page time or just this is his first novel. I could definitely see improving, but still, all in all, 4 out of 5. You know, still good. A Authorial Voice, 5 out of 5. I mean, do I think there's room for Chance to improve? Sure. But do I think like this is a crazy good first book? Yeah, I do. R Rhythm, 4.5 out of 5. It's pretty, breakneck speed. There's a little tiny bit of like lore dumping here and there. To me, it felt fine. It felt natural the way he did it, and I was okay with that. But it did kind of slow the pace here and there. And then 4 is Feeling. Feeling is a 4. Again, I think once that character work bumps up a little bit and some of these threads start to come and get together a little bit more, I think that will probably improve. But, 4.5. I mean, even with a reread, I loved it as a reread, so I can't wait to read book 2. That's Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. And then another indie book. We've got Discovery by J.A.J. Minton. This scored a 3.75 out of 5. Let's go through it. So B, Believable. This got a 4 out of 5. Some really, really great character work. Unfortunately, the rhythm, I'll jump to the rhythm here. Rhythm got a 3.5. So the rhythm of this book really hurt it for me, for my taste, because it is almost written in like an anthology format. There's 5 different acts, and like the character you meet in Act 1, you spend a ton of time with that character, and it's incredible character work, and then you don't spend any more time with them for the rest of the book. And so you're constantly like, it constantly felt like the brakes were being slammed on me. And I know it has worked very, very well for some people. It didn't work horribly or anything. I think the story is great. I just wish maybe the formatting was a little bit different. But yeah, Believable, 4 out of 5. Authorial Voice, 4.5. I mean, talk about well-written debut novels. I mean, you can tell they did their research. And I also love that you can feel the influences of the 3 different authors here. And it all just, normally I feel like that would be in a bad way, but here I think it's in a good way. Their talents just blended together really, really well. Rhythm, 3.5, a little clunky for me. And then Feeling was a 3, I think because of that rhythm. Like, I could see myself connecting with characters more if I'd spent more time with them throughout the book. But because their parts just end and then they just end, I did have a hard time feeling a whole bunch. All right. The next three, I don't have physical copies, so here we go. Here's the first one. It is Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. This got a 3.25 out of 5. Believable 2 for me. This was really the crime of the book, is that the character work it's almost non-existent. There is some in there, but all of the character work that's in there is just Buehlman telling me that a character got from point A to point B in their feelings or emotionally, and I never got the proof. Nothing on the page ever showed me any kind of growth or change or anything. They just went from point A, and then later in the book he's like, oh, they feel this way now. And I was like, do they? They do? All right. I guess so, if you're telling me so. And that really bothered me, especially for a story where it feels like the character work should be kind of like the main purpose of it. It kind of feels like a The Last of Us or a Logan. Like, imagine Last of Us or Logan with like no character work; they're just existing, and that's Between Two Fires. So that was the lowest score for me. Was believable. Now, Authorial Voice got a 4.5 because Buehlman writes. His prose is great. He can write super simplistic, but then the next page write incredibly beautifully, like poetic almost, and dialogue is really excellent. And just his imagination. I mean, the horror elements are, and the cool factor are just like next level. They're so good, and this is really his strength in this book. So yeah, then we're gonna talk about rhythm. This got a 3. So the pacing of this book is very strange. The first 3/4 of it were like Monster of the Week, where it's just each chapter felt like a little short story involving some of the characters we know, but with no repercussions or no emotional growth attached to them. It's like once I was done reading that chapter, if I never, it's almost like I never read that chapter because it doesn't matter. There's no impact on the rest of the book. And the last 25% was just like, no, we're gonna go into like a more of like an epic fantasy kind of style, and it just at that point I did not care, so that kind of hurt for me. And then feeling 3 out of 5. There were some emotional moments that still hit because his writing is so great and because I could understand what he was trying to get me to feel, but because I wasn't attached to the characters, I didn't feel as much as I would have had the character work been really solid. But 3.25 out of 5, still good. I liked Black Tongue Thief more. I was expecting to love this, but I just found myself, I did a buddy read, and my friend and I kept talking after each part, being like, when's the character work going to show up? Like, when's the... And it follows 2 characters that, imagine a Joel and Ellie for Last of Us, where almost every chapter they're just, like, not together, separate, doing their own things, and then you're expected to believe they're bonding together. I don't know. It just didn't really work for me as much as I was hoping. Next, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. 5 out of 5. I mean, 5s across the board. Some of the best character work I've ever read. It's incredible characters. Yeah, I mean, this historical fiction, it's crazy because I never thought I'd be interested in a Western, but I picked this up just because it was Stephen King's favorite book. Thought it'd be a good book for like our family's first book club, and yeah, everybody loved it, and like, it just made me realize that if the character work is good, I do not care what the characters are doing. In this case, they were, shuttling cattle across America, which is like, I don't really care about that. But man, he made it interesting, and I was just along for the ride because of the character work. Super emotional at moments, and just I will never forget some of those characters. So 5 out of 5. I mean, probably other than maybe one other book, this is probably a top 3 of all time for me so far. Is Lonesome Dove. The other one's actually on this list as well. All right, next, The Color of Magic by Sir Terry Pratchett. This is the first Discworld book published, and the first one that I've read. This got a 3.5 out of 5. I liked it. I think the humor mostly worked for me. I think the formatting of it didn't really work. It felt almost like 4 novellas that I... maybe if I knew going in, that would have worked better, but because I didn't, it didn't really work. But believable, got a 3.5. I like the characters. I think they're fairly memorable. I'm excited to see them again. Authorial Voice, 3.5. I think Terry Pratchett, I think this is a really good start to where, like, I feel like as I continue to read Discworld, I could probably just flip a page in a random book and tell if it's Terry Pratchett. even if I didn't know it was a Discworld book because of that. So really enjoyed that. Rhythm was a 3.25. Yeah, I talked about that. Kind of the novella format didn't super work for me. And then Feeling 3, no real emotional moments, but I still had a good time. Lots of laughs and lots of intrigue. All right. Next, another indie read. This is Cold Silver for Souls by Tori Tekken. Nice little short, 300-page book. My first Tori Tekken, and unfortunately, my first DNF. This is when I decided that I was going to be okay with DNFing books. I need to do it. I've got so many books. I gave it 100 pages, and it's not bad by any means. I enjoyed it. I just found myself thinking, I can't wait for the next book. Can't wait to read what I'm going to read next. And to me, at that point, I got to be able to recognize that maybe this book isn't just doing it for me. It's just not doing it for me. So this is like a first-person, present tense of a bounty hunter, like a fantasy western, which I think is really cool. I like what she's doing. I just finished Red Country, and then before that, Lonesome Dove. So some really high highs, and then I came into this, and it just wasn't hitting the same way as those two were. I might go back and finish it just because I've only got 200 pages left, but as of right now, it is on the DNF list. But I am still very excited to try Bloodstones by Tori eventually, because I think that's not first-person present tense, and I think a lot of my problems stemmed from that. It's just not my favorite narrative style. But yeah, that's my first DNF. Next, I did a reread of The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, or re-listen, if you will. I listened to this on an audiobook while I was doing my walks, and I liked it better the second time. I gave it a 4 out of 5 the first time. This time I got a 4.5 out of 5. Character work's a 5. I mean, it's Joe Abercrombie. It's going to be a 5. I think every time. Maybe not in the Devils, but we'll talk about that when we get to it next quarter. But 5 out of 5 for character work. Authorial voice 4.5. I think maybe he hadn't completely mastered his craft here, which makes sense. I think there's a little bit of pacing issues here, and going into that rhythm, got a 4 out of 5. It's a little slow, I think. I'm okay with slow, but I wish there was just a little more of a plot to kind of pull me along. Just a little bit more. Still, I mean, for a book where almost nothing happens, I was still hooked. The character work can carry it. Like I said, it doesn't really matter what the characters are doing as long as the character work is good, and this is a testament to that. Still got a 4.5, and really not a ton happens in this book. And then Feeling 4.5 out of 5, really connected to the characters. The humor hits when it hits. It's just very, very good. Next, I read, I'm just holding this up because it's collected in here, The Long Walk by Richard Bachman or Stephen King. This got a 4.25 out of 5. Really pleasantly surprised. I read this just because the movie is coming out, and I was like, well, I want to read it before I see the movie, but it'll probably be fine. Man, I really like this book. It's almost like Hunger Games before the Hunger Games. It's just a bunch of kids walking. They sign up themselves, they're walking, and basically if you go underneath a certain mile per hour, you get a couple warnings, and then you buy your ticket after that. And I mean, the character work carried this. It's really interesting reading this knowing that it was published not as Stephen King, because man, does it read like a Stephen King book, which is why, character work got a 4.5, authorial voice got a 4, rhythm got a 4. It's just kids walking, but man, for 350 pages, it flew by. And then Feeling, it also got a 4. Just a really, really solid book, and I cannot wait to see the movie. I can't wait to reread this at some point, honestly. Next, you know him, you love him. It's Joe Abercrombie, Red Country. This got a 5 out of 5 for me, which I was very surprised by, because I know that this is the most divisive, maybe, book of the middle trilogy, I guess, if you want to call it, or maybe just the first law in general, other than the Blade itself. I loved it, man. It's just, I just come off of Lonesome Dove too, and this basically was like the perfect blend of First Law and Lonesome Dove. And so maybe it was just timing, but man, it hit so good, and the character work is just excellent. This is just a 5 across the board for me. I thought the pacing was great. Some characters we get to revisit, some just like classic Joe Abercrombie, they definitely like to toe the line between good and bad, that gray area, and just worked so well. Yeah, and it was a great conclusion to like the standalone trilogy. So 5 out of 5. All right, 2 more. We've got Night Shift by Stephen King. Technically, I finished this in June. I've been working on this for like a year and a half. Just a collection of short stories. If I need something quick to read, I'd read it. So it took me a while, but I really liked it. This is considered his best, I think. This got a 4 out of 5 for me. It's really hard to score collections of short stories because there are some really high highs and really low. I don't know if there was any really low lows. I'm trying to look at the table of contents here. Yeah, there's a couple duds in here, but there's some really high highs. I mean, yeah, for me, The Last Row on the Ladder was probably my favorite, which is not even a horror story. It just deals with, it's just not horror. It's Stephen King showing you that he can write not horror, and there's a couple of those in here that are just really excellent, but the horror ones are really great as well. So that's Night Shift. Kind of a great, if you want a good place to start for short fiction for Stephen King, this, or honestly, I think You Like It Darker is a banger. So, and then lastly, we got the big boy here, Dead House Gates by Steven Erikson. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait. Oh. We did the Broken Binding edition. Ian and I did this as our read-along for our discussion. And, man, what a book. This is a 5 out of 5. 5s across the board. Life-changing book for me. It taught me a lot about patience in reading and endurance in reading. We took our time reading this for sure, but I think it was all worth it. And man, I'm so in on Malazan. It's crazy. It is tough and confusing for sure. It's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. You can get through it and you will understand it. You won't understand everything, but people make it seem like you are living in a different universe and you can't even speak English anymore. And it's just like, no, or whatever language is translated in. It's like, no, you can follow it. The things you don't get are intentional, and you'll get it eventually, and it's fine. Not everything needs to be answered. So really just excellent. Some great character work. A really big step up in character work from Gardens. I think that's what made me enjoy this more than Gardens. The cool factor's still there. The prose is still beautiful. The dialogue. I think that's his special sauce with the character work, because I think the characters in this aren't as fleshed out as, like, say, a Stephen King character are or a Joe Abercrombie character are, but the dialogue is just so real that it just creates these amazing characters. I think that's the special sauce. And then, yeah, I mean, it hits you like a ton of bricks for emotion. It's a roller coaster ride, I'll say that. And yeah, excellent book. This is the other book I was talking about that's probably in my top 3 of all time as of right now, Q2 2025. But yeah, those are the 14 or 15, I can't remember, books that I read in Q2 of 2025. Those are the B.A.R.F ratings for all of them. Some of these I've got reviews for on the channel. The others I don't. And going forward, I might do a review here or there if it's something really calling to me to go into a long form. But I've just loved doing the discussions with Ian so much that I think that's really where the book side of this channel is going to focus, is going through Malaz and doing discussions, and then videos like this, like maybe a quarterly B.A.R.F review list, and then maybe tier lists here and there, but probably not so much reviews anymore. But we'll see. I might change my mind next week. I don't know. But I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have read any of these, if you'd enjoyed them, or if you think I'll enjoy anything based off of these. My TBR is long, but I'm always willing to let it grow bigger. But yeah, that is it. I'm Matt. This is Hobby Vomit. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.